America, welcome into the Business Pulse. I'm Chuck Barham, your host. We're brought to you by the Freedom Chamber, online at freedomchamber.net. If you're watching it, that means you're a Freedom Chamber member, or maybe somebody forwarded it to you. Well, if they did and you're not a member, get in here right now and join us. freedomchamber.net. It's Dean Owen, it's Rod Martin, and we've got a lot to talk about. Let's talk about what happened yesterday in the primary, specifically Texas. Rod, give us your big Yahoo again.
Oh my goodness, what a glorious day. I'm old enough to remember when we used to think John Cornyn was a real Republican. You know, he was the conservative future of Texas. Oh, how poorly that turned out, like so many of his era. You know, he has been in the Senate since 2002 and a disappointment all along the way. You know, it's just pathetic. So he goes out, he and his buddies spend $111 million all in to get him reelected in what ought to be a layup. I mean, it's not like he has been endangered all along the way. And lo and behold, Ken Paxton beats him like a drum. I mean, it's a 2-1 loss. Paxton spent 1/10 of what Cornyn spent. It's just glorious. And it shows you yet again, Donald Trump is 117-0 in his endorsed races this cycle. 117-0. It's absolutely incredible. But one other thing it tells us is that all of this woke right shtick about how the Jews own America. Oh, well, guess what, guys? They actually spent more to reelect John Cornyn than they spent to defeat Thomas Massie. And Donald Trump endorsed an AIPAC unendorsed candidate in the Senate race in Louisiana. Yeah, so the person who beat Cassidy endorsed the person who beat Cornyn, another AIPAC endorsed candidate, and of course Gallrein, who defeated Massie, and he was obviously AIPAC endorsed. So if the president is endorsing without regard to the AIPAC endorsement, without regard to any of that, and he wins every single race, then the Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens claptrap about how, you know, everything is some big conspiracy from Netanyahu's office, it's just a sick joke. I mean, I repeat, once again, the AIPAC endorsed candidate in Texas, John Cornyn, outspent his opponent 10-1 and lost 2-1.
That is an amazing feat in itself. I mean, that amount of money pumped into a primary, that's got to be a record, right, in the state of Texas, if not in the lower 48? I mean,
I can't guarantee it, but I'm pretty sure. Yes. Yeah. And Massie's race was the all-time record U.S. House race for spending. But the difference is pretty extreme because Massie and his opponents spent very nearly the same amount of money. You hear all over the internet, oh, they spent $35 million to beat Thomas Massie. No, they spent about $34 million between everybody who spent money in that race on both sides. And Massie's team came in around $12 million. Gallrein's team came in around 18. So the difference was negligible when you consider that Massie had the power of incumbency and had been reelected by that district many, many times over a 14-year period. It's just crazy to pretend that they didn't know who he was, or that an AI-generated video of him having sex with AOC somehow influenced the outcome. No, what influenced the outcome was Donald J. Trump, and the fact that Thomas Massie voted against the tax cuts for the biggest tax hike in American history and against funding for ICE. That is what killed him, and he is good and properly dead. So now he's claiming that he's going to go out and expose a bunch of pedophiles in the Epstein files. So what you're saying is, after you lost, You know who these people are, and you're still not disclosing it. So you're protecting pedophiles, or you're just lying. Pick one. Either way, Donald Trump cleaned house the past few weeks. We have a lot fewer rhinos in Washington. This is Trump's Senate now, especially after November.
Amen to all you just said there, Rod. Dean, your local perspective on a lot of that. You're sitting kind of there in the catbird seat watching down on it.
Well, I can't add a whole lot to what Rod said from those perspectives, but I can add, well, I'm going to go back and say it again. We told you this, we told you this, we told you this, we told you to quit listening to the window licking retards on the left. The MAGA base is not shaking up. It's not splintering. Donald Trump is not losing his influence. He's gaining influence regularly. Even when a somewhat unpopular war going on, oil prices high, gas prices high, his endorsements still carry an enormous amount of weight, and we've seen it 100 and some odd times. 100% record of his endorsed candidates winning. He endorsed Andy Barr for the Senate races for Mitch McConnell's seat, and I know Andy and I know Daniel Cameron. They're both very good men. I think Andy was a better candidate, and I think that was just a pure pragmatic play where, which one could hit the ground running the fastest, and that was Andy. And no negatives to Daniel whatsoever. And that's the way Trump endorsed it. So some of these endorsements are definitely about getting rid of the wrong people, and some of them are about getting the right people in. But his weight and his endorsement carries an enormous amount of weight. You take that to the bank and cash it.
So let's
And that's not going to change after 28. That's not going to change. Until he dies, he is going to be the most potent force in the Republican Party. And everybody just better get over the idea that he's going away. He will not shut up till he's dead. I promise you. And his movement will live on. And it doesn't matter who you pick as the Republican nominee in 28. I will guarantee you it won't be Thomas Massie. It will be someone who believes in tax cuts, border security, and America first, which cosplaying libertarian Massie did not.
Let me ask you guys this question, because right now you've got this incredible track record of being correct. I'm talking about you, Dean, and you, Rod. What do we look like rolling into, and business-wise, how this all plays out in the business world too, going into the election in November? Right now, we're looking at gas prices still kind of high at the pump, but oil prices are down, which hopefully will start to reflect what you guys had talked about back in March and April, that, hey, once we get past Memorial Day, June, things start to settle down in the Middle East, gas prices are going to start to go down. You're going to see the infrastructure that we've been talking about for the last year finally getting built, steel's going in the ground, concrete's being poured, jobs are being made, people are going to get back to work, people are going to have bigger paychecks. The economy's really going to start to boom. Are we still on that track, Rod?
Yeah, I think so. Absolutely. I'd love to hear Dean's thoughts on that. But, bottom line, you saw those March job numbers. We're 3 times the job growth that was anticipated. Huge CapEx boom. Everything is going our way except basically gas prices. And gas prices are a function partly of the war, but mostly of the fact that we haven't built a new refinery in the United States since the 1970s, and California has actively shut down the majority of its refineries. So that's the real bottleneck. And when you solve that problem, as we're beginning to, got a new refinery under construction right now, as that begins to change, that actually will dramatically reduce gasoline prices going forward. Not in time for the midterms, but the drop in the price of oil will. This war will not go on forever. And we have this new pipeline is going to bring us 500,000 barrels a day of Alberta supply. We're bringing the Venezuelan oil back online. UAE just nuked OPEC. Oil's going to go in the right direction, and it's going to keep going in the right direction over the long term.
And Dean, I want to get your thoughts on this too, because you talk to business owners each and every day. Rod, I know you do as well. But Dean, you're more, I call it deeper in the underwear drawer. What, getting their tax returns back and looking at CapEx spends, you like that deep in the underwear drawer? getting their CapEx, looking at into 26, 27, 28. What are you feeling and hearing on the ground, Dean? Because you've got a different perspective than what Rod and I might have.
Well, our artificially high interest rates are holding things back hard. And I've got a big stretch of ground I'd like to see some development on right off the interstate and I-24, and great location. But businesses are hesitant right now, largely because of interest rates, oil prices. That oil price doesn't bother me. It's going to be taken care of by at least another 30 days. You know, the administration can end the war in Iran anytime it wants to, just in about 3 days. You know, just go out and find out all our RGC people and kill them. And that's what needs to happen anyways, because you can't negotiate with them. But what I understand is happening in Iran right now is Anish is tearing apart the IRGC, which is why we're starting to move towards a negotiated settlement. And just as Rod and I talked about 2 months ago, a month ago, something like that, said that this was going to happen. Once the Anish gets rid of enough of the IRGC, then the people of Iran will join them, and that will eliminate probably most of them. And I think we're there to help facilitate that process. We're not there to be on boots on the ground, but we're there to help facilitate that process. But if we have to get on the ground, it will be fast and ugly and bloody. And you have to realize this president thinks like a businessman and a politician at the same time. So he's definitely worried about the midterms, and he knows he needs gas prices coming down probably by July at the latest, for that to have an impact and just to kill the whole affordability conversation. Because you look at Trueflation and it says inflation's at 2.1%, but it's all fuel, goods, services, core. They're all under 2%. So we're there except for oil prices, and that will get fixed soon enough. We're down below 90. I think Wall Street has figured out that Iran is irrelevant. It's just not important. Otherwise, we wouldn't see the market going crazy like it is. The advantages of AI, the productivity improvements are going to be seen. They're being seen. I'm significantly more productive than I was 3 years ago. So it's being seen, it's happening. And Rod mentioned the jobs report. Well, that's at a point where a lot of employers are starting to cut back. I've noticed that JP Morgan and Meta are cutting back employees and big numbers. So you've got the big losses from AI, which they'll be replaced. Those jobs will be replaced with other better jobs. But there's going to be a transition. So even through this transition, we're seeing very strong job numbers. I think it's just rolling in midterms. We're going to be in a really, really, really good spot.
Worst case scenario, and I want to get your thoughts on this. Let's say gas prices don't go down. Let's say the economy's not moving as far as we need it to go. What happens if things don't go the Republicans' way in November? Is it just a lame duck session for the next 2 years? Are we just kind of trolling around in the mud, or what's that look like? Because I had that asked to me, and I said, that's going to be a great question to ask Rod and Dean on the Business Pulse. So, gentlemen, your floor with this question.
I'm going to have to say that, we've got high gas prices now. The Michigan Consumer Sentiment Index, I just was reading today that it polls 2/3 Democrat, 1/3 Republican. So we get this feeling from the so-called legacy media that when it was legacy, it was accurate. It's not anymore. They all went to a digital format, and that tends to favor Democrats and younger voters, and that skewed it. So that I don't know if the numbers that are being put out about how people feel about the economy and the 100% track record Trump has of getting his nominees elected don't jive. Something's wrong, and we know what happened in the elections. We know that part is fact. So I don't see a path where we don't. Well, I say this very carefully because Republicans have a really good habit of snatching victory out of the jaws of defeat, But if they stay focused, I think his president's going to lead the way, and the ones that will follow his lead will do well. Those that don't won't. We've seen that. But we've got high gas prices now. We've got some, inflationary pressures now. And Trump's endorsements are still winning everywhere. So I don't think there's much of a chance I think Trump's going to be one of those transformational presidents that wins seats in the midterms. And I know the odds of that happening are very slim, on a traditional metric. But Trump is nothing but tradition. He's nothing traditional about it.
Roger,
Well, and if it were a traditional year, the odds would be slimmer. But we had the Calais decision. That absolutely has an impact. And I've got news for those senators in South Carolina who just voted against the president's preferred redistricting plan. That's not going to go unanswered. That's going to get challenged in federal court. The DOJ has been clear. We are enforcing Calais with full effect immediately. And the Supreme Court came in and backed them and said, yes, this takes effect immediately. There's no delay. This is the law. So, they've got a blatantly racially gerrymandered district there that just gives the Democrats a sop. They get a free House seat for no good reason at all. There's no reason there should be a single Democrat House member from South Carolina. And South Carolina is not the only state like that. So you've got a really unique moment where the Republicans have not as much of an advantage as they'll have in 28, not as much of an advantage as they'll have after the 2030 census, but a pretty big advantage. And nobody's really factoring that in much the same way that our pollsters grossly underpolled Ken Paxton. They had him leading by about 10 points at the beginning of the week. He won 2-1. 2-1. I mean, this is a blowout. This is a staggering landslide against not just an incumbent senator, but an incumbent senator who's been in office since 2002 and came very close to being the majority leader of the United States Senate. And the pollsters just had it completely wrong. So I think we look really good going into the midterms. If we lose, since that was your initial question,
Thank
it's
you,
going
Rod.
to be ugly. There's
Yeah.
no question. The Democrats will block every single piece of legislation the president wants. They will spend 2 years impeaching him again because that's going to do a ton of good. I don't even know where they got it in their head that impeaching a president help to them. It's just a ridiculous circus, and everybody knows it because when it goes to the Senate, it doesn't get any meaningful votes. You've got to actually convict by 2/3. There is no possible Senate that's going to convict any president by 2/3 unless we actually catch him conspiring with the space aliens to blow up Indianapolis. I mean, there's nothing that gets you there. So they're going to waste a lot of time. They're going to torture Republicans with process, and they may just end up strengthening us going into 2028.
And let's be honest, the way that the path forward through anybody that thinks conservative or likes, free enterprise, capitalism, safe streets, safe cities, great schools, you're going to have to get off your butts and vote. That's truly what it comes down to. You're going to have to overwhelm what the other side of the fence is going to try to do with mail-in voting, with early voting. You're going to have to overwhelm the system like you did this past presidential election. You're going to have to go in and vote, and you're going to have to get 10 of your neighbors to go in and vote. And you can't have my vote doesn't matter. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. You're this close to securing a wonderful future for the United States of America and the next generation coming up. You can't let the ball drop on your watch. That would be my speech to the American public right now. Whoever's watching this, pass it along. But I'll get off my soapbox because that's not why I'm here. I'm here to facilitate good conversation between Dean Owen and Rod Martin. And we're running up against the break. Dean, where can we find you online, buddy?
OwenCPA.com. That's OWENCPA.com. A hot button that's just hitting is tariff refunds. The process is being developed. It's coming out. If you need to talk about refunds for tariffs, get online, connect with my team. The conversation and friendship are free. Just help us help you disinherit the government and not your kids.
Amen. Rod, the Martin Report, delivered fresh daily, sometimes twice a day. Go ahead.
Come to rodmartin.org. That's rodmartin.org, where we have tens of thousands of subscribers for our daily long form analysis, hundreds of thousands of followers on social media. There's a reason So come join us at rodmartin.org.
And if you are a Freedom Chamber member and you're watching this, you have access now to 41 million contacts across America to start marketing to. Call me, email me. Chuck@freedomsquare.com is my email. I'll even give you hit me with an email, I'll bounce you back with my cell number. We can have a conversation. We've got an impactful marketing plan that can help you grow your business inside the Freedom Chamber and beyond. Chuck@freedomsquare.com is my email address. We've got 41 million contacts awaiting you at the Freedom Chamber. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Thank you, Rod. Thank you, Dean. This has been the Business Pulse. Healthcare costs are crushing America's small businesses. Premiums have risen over 240% in the last decade, forcing companies to choose between growth and healthcare coverage. The Freedom Chamber, found online at freedomchamber.net, has a better solution: the Guardianship Healthcare Plan. Designed by a doctor who understands that strong care starts with a strong doctor-patient relationship. This plan puts people first while protecting your bottom line. With up to 45% annual premium savings, the Guardianship Plan delivers real care, real savings, and real freedom. Your business, your employees, your health plan needs the Guardianship. The Freedom Chamber Guardianship Plan. Get your quote today. Learn how your business can take control of healthcare. Visit freedomchamber.net, the pro-American business network.